Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Bob Power, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you've joined us for our next live presentation from Cypress Development Corporation. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the left of the slides. If you're interested in scheduling a meeting with Cypress Development, please click on the Meetings tab found on the left navigation bar. You'll be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Spiros Kakos, Vice President, Investor Relations at Cypress Development Corporation, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol CYDVF and on the TSXV under the symbol CYP. Welcome, Spiros.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's good to be here once again. Just want to introduce myself as Spiros Kakos, the Vice President of Investor Relations for Cypress Development. This opening slide here is actually our project, which is the Clayton Valley Lithium Project. We are a lithium exploration and development company where we've got a very large project, lithium project that we're looking to take to production. Its location is in central Nevada, and having this opening slide is kind of nice because we get to see what it looks like when you're actually standing on the project. The white sand that you see here, the gray, is actually the lithium claystone that's actually at surface, and we're kind of looking straight northwise to where those hills are, to where the only operating lithium project is in existence in North America, and that's the Albemarle's Silver Peak operation. And what people don't know is, like, they always forget, is that the United States and Canada, or North America, only has one operating lithium project. Everything else we have, every other Arlo lithium comes from foreign countries, predominantly out of Argentina, and so it's nice to be able to kind of get projects going in the United States and Canada, so we can supply our own lithium demand coming out of North America. Can we next slide here? Move forward. Cautionary statements here. So a little bit about us. We are an advanced stage project. We've completed a preliminary economic assessment back in 2021, which gave us a 40-year mine life. As I said earlier, our location, you can't get better than that. It's in central Nevada. We're currently completing a feasibility study, and it should be out by before the end of Q2. Technology-wise, we use a chlor-alkali process. This technology is called Lyonix, and we were able to achieve recovery of over 99.5%, which was really exceptional at the time. That came out in June, and the results were so strong that the Koch brothers actually ended up buying Lyonix Technologies based upon our results. So it just shows you, like, how confident they are and how the DLE is working so far in our project. Water. You're in Nevada, so you need to have access to water, or else you cannot bring projects towards production. And last but not least, we have produced what we call enhanced battery grade. It is the 99.94% purity, which was, I believe, according to the Northern Miner, we are the only company in the world, or the first company in the world, to actually produce enhanced battery grade out of claystone using hydrochloric acid, which is great. Share structure: 150 million issued outstanding, 175 fully diluted. Market cap is about 150 or so million Canadian. Cash position on hand is 31.4 million, so our treasury is quite strong. We are covered by two analysts, Alliance Group Partners and Noble Capital Markets. And I have this slide here. A lot of people look at this slide saying, "Spiro, why are you showing a slide where the stock seems to be, going down?" Well, I mean, it's good to kind of show people, how your stock chart is performing. If we go back and if you look at the top here in February, that's when we announced a financing. We were able to raise around $18 million from PI Financial. But as soon as that financing closed, the war in the Ukraine hit. Then after that, we had China locked down. And after that, we had interest rates, recession, and inflation. Everything kind of hit. But notice here around midsummer, so around the month of June or so, you could see June, July, our liquidity completely dried up, right? The markets really changed with the Chinese lockdown. And our stock did fall down, but you can really fell down on very, very light volume. Most of our significant shareholders are hanging on to their shares. There obviously people had to kind of sell off a little bit for with the inflation, global inflation happening. People do want to sell a little bit to kind of pay their bills. But for the most part, we've kind of held nicely our share structure with our institutional partners and some of our I guess, larger retail shareholders as well. But even though the company's share structure, the share price might have gone down, we were not sitting back and doing nothing. A recap of what we've done over the last year, you can see in December last year, this time, we acquired our water rights. Like I said earlier, in February, we closed our bought deal from PI Financial. It was a 100% institutional deal that we did, brought in on board about, I think it was around 12 to 14 different institutional investors. Feasibility study was started in March. We put out our first pilot plant announcement, results coming out again later on in March. We consolidated. We ended up buying a project which is adjacent to our project. We believe that project was connected to, well, their deposit was connected to our deposit. So we ended up doing a small drill program and confirmed that. And by August, we announced positive drill results, and we're able to expand our resource. And our pit now has grown to about 20% bigger, which means it'll be a longer pit and a little bit more shallow. I'll talk about that later on in a slide. Later on, by June, we announced positive DLE results. We confirmed battery grade by September, and most recently, at the end of October, we engaged ThyssenKrupp Nucera to come on board to design and engineer a chlor-alkali plant. Board, I won't spend too much time on here, but just we've made some board changes earlier in the year. We brought a new chair, Cassandra Joseph, Brian Disher, and Ken Owen. Just something quick about Cassandra. She is a lawyer with over 20 years experience focusing on environmental and corporate law. But on top of that, she was the Deputy Attorney General to the Attorney General's office in Nevada. So having her on board can really kind of help guide the company towards permitting, which is great. Bill Willoughby, CEO and director of the company, president CEO. He's 45 years experience, an engineer. Both myself, I worked with Bill and Dan going back to a company called International and Nexco. We had a uranium discovery, which we ended up selling to Denison Mines. One thing to be said about the management team is all of us have direct experience working in Nevada, and almost everybody, including the board, either has experience in Nevada or has taken a project to production or worked for companies that were in production. Won't spend too much time here, but just want to point out how lithium is being used, mobile phones, laptops, etc. But the most important part is the really big driving force behind the price of lithium, which keeps going higher and higher and higher, is electric vehicles. Right, we're seeing governments continuously kind of trying to assist and turn turn towards electric vehicles and green energy. The price of lithium and demand for lithium keeps going up and up and up, and there's just actually no slowing down when it comes to it. It's important here to point out that lithium by the United States was designated as a critical mineral. This was done by President Trump. He was the first person to realize that I believe it's around 85% of the world's lithium that's out there is owned directly or indirectly by China. So Canada and the United States have put themselves in a position where we are completely dependent on foreign energy, on lithium. So what he did is he designated it as a critical mineral, which means that if you find it in North America, you need to keep it here for domestic sources only. On top of that, he looked to increase exploration and mining and processing, but more importantly, streamline permitting. That's kind of what we're really hoping for. Any kind of increase in streamlining our permitting process can really be beneficial for the industry. Canada was quick to sign on board with what President Trump did, and on top of that, President Biden um, um, designated the lithium as a defense into the Defense Production Act, where he is allocating funding in grants or or loans to companies that are moving towards production and technology companies that are helping in the lithium space. Taking a step back, you realize there's basically three kinds of lithium projects out there. This is kind of generalized, right? So we're looking at, we look at brine. People are more familiar with brine. It's found predominantly in Latin America. And brine is what you get, like large pools of water, which you slowly evaporate over years and then or months and years, and you got leftovers, you got the lithium. It's a really inexpensive way of getting lithium out. So it's really cheap, it's really cost effective. However, you are evaporating a lot of water, and from the ESG side, it's being frowned upon. Then you've got hard rock projects, right? These are, again, predominantly found in Australia. Yes, they are here in Canada. They're pretty much like a mining project. There's crushing and grinding, right? So it's a lot more expensive actually to get out of the ground. However, you get high grades, right? You get high grade lithium, and it works, right? So it's how the Aussies do it best. I mean, no one does it better than Western Australia. They're really good at that. And we've got some really good hard rock projects here in Canada as well. But when you take a step back, you look you look at claystone projects, which are found predominantly in the United States. And in the United States, they are really found in the state of Nevada. If there's a lot of it there, there's a lot of claystone there. If you actually added up all the lithium resources you have in the state of Nevada, I believe it'll put us third or fourth in the world when it comes to lithium-rich areas. So there's a lot there, and you can see by the slide here the cost of getting it out. It's a little bit more expensive than brine, but a lot cheaper than hard rock because clay is soft, right? So it's you don't have to crush it too much. You don't have to drill it. There's no explosions or nothing like that. It's pretty easy to kind of get out of the ground. Taking a closer look at Nevada, yes, there's Albemarle's Silver Peak operation, which is the only producing operation in North America. I can't stress that enough. Then you've got Pure Energy's got a project. Again, it's a brine project. They're currently at the permitting stage, we'll say. But the claystone projects, there are there are many claystone projects out there, but the ones that stick out the most, the ones that are the three most advanced projects out there that are in a development stage are Ioneer's Violet Ridge and Lithium America's Thacker Pass, and of course, our Clayton Valley Lithium Project. Violet Ridge, great project. Feasibility studies done. Pilot plant was up and running. They've produced battery grade. Good company, good project. However, on the permitting side, they found a rare species plant called Times buckwheat, which grows only on Violet Ridge. It's an endangered species. It only grows on that project, and it's put this project to at a stop. They just are having difficulties kind of getting around it. They're trying to find a way to kind of move the plant or do something with it, but unfortunately, they're kind of stuck. Even Ford did an MOU with them, saying, "We'll take all the lithium you have out of the project if you just find able to find a way to preserve this rare plant." But right now it seems to be stuck. and we wish them a lot of success. Then you've got Lithium America's Thacker Pass, another good company, great management group, a really good project. It's bigger than ours. I believe they're looking to produce around 80,000 tons per year. We're looking at 30,000. It's higher grade as well. But they've got a PFS is done, plan of operations is done, pilot plants up and running for them. They've produced battery grade. I don't know what the grades are, but it's battery grade though. They've done a good job on that. However, and they're on their way. Sorry, and they're on their way to complete a feasibility study. I believe it was supposed to be done in the end of this year, but it might have been delayed to Q1. But that project does have some legal issues in the sense that there are some problems happening, some legal action with, I believe, some Native American groups and a cattle rancher. Most of that has been settled recently. I think there's outstanding a couple lawsuits which are going to be moved. There's a court case in January. I personally think that they're going to be fine. They're going to be able to kind of tackle this issue. Native Americans, like in the Indigenous here in Canada, they're never anti-mining. They're pro-mining. They just got to bring them into the deal and make them part of the group, and I'm sure they'll find a solution. They're, like I said, they're a bright company, and they should be able to find a solution to bring that project, which means that should be the first claystone project to go towards production. And underneath that is us, Clayton Valley. Our PFS is done. Pilot plant's operating. We're running at around 1 ton a day. We produced enhanced battery grade, which is like 99.94%. Feasibility study is going to be out in Q2 instead of Q1. So we're on our way. We're moving forward. But everything else underneath us, it's still a lot earlier stage, right? So, but there's definitely movement for companies to kind of move forward. And Nevada will be, I guess, like a game changer when it comes in the next couple of years as these projects move towards production. Closer look on the map, you see there's Las Vegas, Reno up north. Reno is where Thacker Pass is. Vegas is where we fly into. You drive about an hour north, you hit Amargosa Valley. That's where our pilot plant is. Go a little bit, another hour, you get to Clayton Valley where our project is. If you look here at the map, that kind of mountain range that you can see, that's the mountain range I was pointing out at the opening slide. And you look over that, you'll see the you can almost walk there. You see the Albemarle Silver Peak operation. So we're right adjacent there. Great neighbors to have. Large resource, big reserve. It gave us a 40-year plus mine life. These resources and reserves can grow. Like I said earlier, we acquired a project to the north of us, and we've drilled it. We'll probably, after the feasibility study, kind of bring that back in and increase the resource and reserve numbers. Deposit features, it's flat like you saw. It's just no overburden, so it's right at surface. So you pretty much, the lithium is kind of goes down to about 150 meters, of depth. So it's really easy to extract, to get out of there. Pre-feasibility study. This slide, I want to spend a little bit of time on. I do have to point out that this pre-feasibility study was using sulfuric acid. We've now switched over to using hydrochloric acid. The price of sulfur has gone up 300 to 400% since 2021. But using hydrochloric acid is more power intensive, so the power is going to go up. So got to keep that in mind. So what we're looking to do, which is very similar to the feasibility study, right? We're looking to operate the project at 15,000 tons per day, which will give us a 40-year plus mine life, producing 30,000 tons of lithium. The capex we used back then was 500 million, right? And the opex was running around 3,000. Using a base price of $9,500, we were able to do a payback at $4 years, and have an NPV of 1 billion with an IRR return of 26%. Spot price in lithium today is what, 85,000? But I always kind of point that out more for shock value. It's all about contracts, and the contracts being written today tend to be short term, are between 50 to 60,000, and that's the key. So the contract spaces are what people are looking at. Our feasibility study won't be at contract prices, right? You got to be a lot more conservative and kind of stretch it out there. I've heard, and I don't know, but 100%, but between 20 to 30,000 is what Lithium America is going to be using, and I think that's more or less what we're going to be using as well. And if that's the case, you're looking at, say, you put $20,000 or $25,000 for the price of lithium. I mean, and you can increase your capex because everything's gone up since the last couple of years. Everything. So turn the 500 million to 800 million. Increase your opex because of more power. Change it from 3,000 to 5,000. You know, once you've more than doubled your price of lithium, your payback will be down like half the time, if not less, and your NPV has a good solid chance of doubling. So it'll be really, really interesting to see how this all plays out with the feasibility study. So we're really looking forward to that. Plant designs, just want to point out here, it's a big plant. It's a big piece of property. It's important to have a large property because we're able to put the pit, the tailings, and we'll be using conveyor belts to go from the pit over to the plant. There you can see how the pit looks like, including the map. We've incorporated the new project, so the pit design will change. It'll be stretched out a little bit longer, like I said, like around 20%. It'll be a little bit more shallow, which makes it more economic. This is a picture of our lithium extraction facility, our pilot plant in our Margosa Valley. It's I believe it's the largest operating lithium extraction pilot plant in North America. The objectives of constantly being met. We've delivered our positive DLE results. Our moisture level, the content is it's nice at below 40%, and we've achieved 99.94% lithium carbonate. So how it works, basically, we take these this is crushed claystone. We basically scoop it up from the project, crush it, and then move it over about 1-ton bags. We move it over to the pilot plant. You see those beige tanks there. We go through those leaching tanks, throw in hydrochloric acid, jump here, and then it leaches for about 24 hours, and then we extract about 85% of the lithium from that clay. All the impurities really drop off nicely. We take the solution. And at that point it's called a concentrated solution. And we take that solution and we put it through the DLE process. and where we recover 99.5% of the lithium. And at that point, we take that concentrated solution, which looks like these blue tanks, and what we did is we sent them over to Vancouver to a company called Saltworks, which was able to dry them, evaporate it, and turn it into this lithium carbonate. And it's like a little white powder, and that's what we achieved. Saltworks did a really great job in doing that. And what we're trying to do now, what we're doing now with them is that have hired Saltworks to incorporate the design into our lithium extraction facility. All right. ESG, I can't stress this slide enough. It is very important to point out that we've done initial environmental and baseline studies. So we've got no indigenous findings. There's no small towns around us. The only neighbor we have is Albemarle's Silver Peak operation. That's it. There's no rare plants, no rare bunnies or anything like that. Project is in Nevada, as I pointed out. So the chances of using opportunities for renewable energy are huge. Solar plants are popping out everywhere in Nevada. And we do own some geothermal land that we want to be able to use. And that's going to be incorporated into our feasibility study. So moving forward, what you have to look forward for Cypress development is, first of all, we're going to get our plan of operations completed in Q1. It might be in Q2. One of the reason I'm saying Q2 is because we're initiating our NEPA permitting process right away with a BLM in the state. And usually, my understanding of it was you do the plan of operations, then you do your permitting. But I believe we're able to commence permitting first, and then which pushes back a little bit of the plan of operations. But then, anyways, that'll be out Q1 or Q2. It's very important to get your permitting in the state of Nevada. It could take Well, the rule of thumb is 15 to 18 months, right? Some people say 12, but let's be conservative. Let's say 12 to 18 months. So I like to kind of make it 2 years. So you could see permitting will commence in January. Add 2 years, that means 2025, you would have finished your permitting. It would have been approved. You're able to make a constructive decision. 8 months or so to build the project, definitely under a year, and you're in production in 2026, 2027 at the latest. But 2026 production should be able to start, right? Feasibility study is going to be completed in Q2. And our goal is to be producing a product online, a product at the plant by the end of the year. And once we've got a plan of operations, we're able to kind of access some of the federal grants that are being put out there. We'll get further federal grants that are going to come out with the feasibility study. And then, of course, further grants will come out once we have an offtake agreement, which will happen later on. We are looking to bring in a strategic partner first. That partner is not at corporate level. There's no dilution of shares. That partner is going to be at a project level. So it doesn't interfere. We don't have to issue shares and dilute the project. So we're looking to bring in a strategic partner right now at the project level, which will take down, say, 40% of the debt and help us give us that third party recognition that we need, right? So in summary, company's fully financed. We've got enough cash to take us all the way towards a construction decision. We don't need to raise any more money at these levels right now. We've got a large resource. Pilot plant programs working well. DLE programs working great at this point. We're really confident about that. We've confirmed battery grade already, and we can't beat the jurisdiction. Nevada is one of the best places in the world to work at. We've only got a few minutes left, so let's take a couple of quick questions. I'm just going to read from the top here. I know I've only got like 4 minutes left. So with CYP being so close to the feasibility study, how do you explain that we are invisible to investors and hit our 52-week low yesterday? That's a good question. That's I going over to the UK a couple of weeks ago and in Europe, I met a lot of our institutional shareholders that were there. They're happy with the position they have. They're holding, but what's happened in the market in general, this is more towards the bigger institutional and portfolio managers. Because of those $50,000 to $60,000 contracts, they've all moved towards projects that are going to immediate production. Anybody that's kind of able to kind of kickstart a project in the next 12 months is what is going to capture those $50,000 to $60,000 contracts, and that's kind of where the market shifted. We were a little bit out there with our production, say, was that last year or 2 years ago, around 5 years away, so which was a comfortable position for them to be in. So we saw our stock jump from 70 cents when I joined it, went up to $2.62 Canadian, and came back in the new year at $2.30. It looked like it was kind of keep going up until the war hit, but it's all about de-risking their portfolios right now. And what they've done is they've locked up their portfolios, closed them up, moved to de-risk to projects that are a little bit more risk adverse, so hard rock projects, your lithium projects, or near-term production. But we know the market changes. This doesn't stay like this continuously. It will change, and when it does change, they all know who we are. They know what stage. They appreciate the amount of de-risking that we've done in the year, and we hope that they're going to jump on board and in 2023 as we move the project forward. Let's see here. Has there been any talks with other Claystone juniors about processing their clay? No, there has not. How long will permitting timeline take? Like I said, it'll be 15 to 18 months is the official statement, but 2 years is what I would probably say. Approximately how much cash do you have? About $30 million, 31 million, and 31.4 million, I believe, right? According to our last financials. Are you planning any publicity on the site the pilot plant, giving a tour with the current Nevada governor. Good question. Yeah, I think so. I'm definitely pushing for that. I'd probably want to see that when we're producing our product on site. So we go from clay to product sometime, hopefully at the end of this year or early next year. We'd definitely have do a big promotion on that. And the last question here, since the original samples were 99.9%, have you sent off more samples for validation? Yes, we're continuously sending out more samples. We're continuously doing an optimization. We should have announcements throughout the year to show kind of how we're extracting, how things are moving forward. And I believe that takes me to the last question with like 10 seconds left. And I just want to say thanks to everybody for taking the time and